Nations, the final chapter of an interesting tournament where for the most part teams have been able to raise their own individual bars. These two today certainly clicked into gear last weekend, both with rare and valuable wins on the road. Let's take a look at the matches so far this weekend. Of course, the two other games taking place on Friday, the big one at Colwyn Bay, where France assured themselves of a Grand Slam, Grand Chelem for Les Bleus, and it has been a very impressive performance from those ladies. England getting the win against Ireland, but of course the result from Grenoble meaning that they are going to finish second. It means that the table at the moment looks like this. The top two obviously sorted out, but it's the bottom three we're really going to be looking at today, with a potential fourth place finish for either of these two and a potential wooden spoon for the loser. So we should be looking at some maths, no doubt, through the course of the second half, but plenty to play for in this final game. Well, the results in round four will certainly have galvanised belief and confidence really in both camps. Today we'll decide on the tags of satisfactory or good, I suppose, to their end of term reports. Italy's win at the Principality, not just a win, a maximum 5-point win. And the Dublin delight for the Scots. Girls obvious as they took a close call from Ireland. A fair spattering of support for both teams. Travelling Scots here as well as plenty of nationals. No doubt both of these teams glad to avoid the mini return of the Beast of the East in Northern Europe. It's been wet, but it's stayed dry for the last couple of hours, so hopefully this pitch will stay intact. It could be an issue. It will certainly be a factor. Plenty of youngsters getting there. I was going to say moment in the sun. Not quite that, but certainly a big fillip for some of these young kids getting the chance to walk out with the national team. There's Jada Franco, player of the match against Wales 7 days ago. And what an impact she's made to this Italian side. Sara Baratini, of course, as ever, leading the Italians on. First up, of course, the formalities, the anthems for the visitors. Flower of Scotland for the hosts, Il Canto degli Italiani. So a live version of the Flower of Scotland for the visitors. The lads you can see standing at the back are actually local lads who are collecting for their tour to Toulon in the summer. The local rugby club now standing to attention for the Italian national anthem. Beautifully melodic and passionate anthems from both these teams. Let's take a look at the home lineup. It's a no change as you were call from Andrea Di Giandomenico. An obvious option from the Italian coach, and the first time he's been able to do that this year. It means the Azzurri find of the year, Giada Franco, remains in the 6th shirt alongside Locatelli and Giordano. That's a well-balanced breakaway trio. Whilst out the back line, 2 of the try scorers from Cardiff, Beatrice Rigoni and Michaela Sillery, reunite to progress their midfield combination. Well, for the Scots, there's a couple of changes from Shade Munro. One forced through injury, Lisa Thompson's shoulder problem, prompting a reshuffle with Lauren Harris lining up on the wing to allow Hannah Smith to step inside to number 13. The other change sees the return of the experienced prop Lindsay Smith to the front row. Jade Conkle, of course, always an option there, but able to exert her considerable influence from number 8 to start with. On the bench, 16 that are desperate to make a difference. There's the McMillan sisters there for the Scots, along with Ailey Sinclair, Rona Lloyd. They'll be looking to make an impact, and plenty of impact there, should they need it from the Azzurri side. There's our referee this afternoon. The Scots, who had an English referee last week in Ian Tempest, have another one this week. Sarah Cox leading the way, with Maria Giovanna Pacifico and Francesca Giuliani, her assistants, and Claire Hodnett, the television match official. Well, this is a special moment for Elenia Alfonsi from the charity partner Associano Danardi. Very special moment for her, bringing the match ball out, getting the due applause from this crowd and the players. Good to see. Special moment for her. So now Lisa Martin has got the ball. This game can get underway. So the Six Nations, both men's and women's, enters its final match. Italy and Scotland, buoyed by those somewhat unexpected wins on the road 7 days ago, now searching for the feel-good finish that should last them the rest of the year. Jade Conkle, such a key cog in the way that the Scotland machine works. Slight delay, I think, in making sure the communications between the officials is working.
Do you know what? We're going to kick off and we'll see what happens, all right?
Sarah Cox has said, let's get on with it. And on with it we go. Lisa Martin with the first touch of the ball in this game. The last time the Scots were in this country 2 years ago, it was a convincing win for the hosts. Bologna was the stage then. Though last year's encounter, of course, saw the Scots come from behind to snatch that 14-12 victory at Broadwood. I'm Simon Ward, delighted to have your company this afternoon, wherever you are in the world, watching this final game of the 2018 Six Nations. A fascinating encounter in many ways, with both of these teams just now beginning to believe in what they've shown spasmodically throughout the course of this campaign. And as I say, coming to fruition in the penultimate round.
Binds.
Sarah Bonner
Set.
lining up on the blind side. Started at 8 in that opening game at Colwyn Bay.
Just come this side for me.
Now, the pitch is going to be an issue. I think it's one that was designed for the phrase glue pot. It really is quite a challenge out there. There's had plenty of rain in the last week, and to say it will take a good stud will be the understatement of the year.
Crouch. Binds. Set. Steady.
First scrum of the game goes to Italy. Baratine winning her 82nd cap today to equal the record, or the second place record, of Veronica Scuvon. Still got 5 to go to catch up with Michaela Tondinelli. Ruzzo, the big second row, made such an impact last week with her pick and drives. So important to the momentum of the game. Furlan coming into the line early. There's the try scorer from last week. Locatelli scored the first try.
Off feet now, Scotland.
Set the standard really for the Azzurri.
Excuse me.
Dug out there for Franco. Franco breaks through 2 tackles, gets the offload in, and there's the first try. Inside 3 minutes, Italy are on the board. Well worked, Scotland's defence not really holding up as it might have done. And there's the Italian coaches happy with their start. A quick start out of the blocks for the home side. But there was the break by Giada Franco. I mentioned her early on. She was always going to be a pivot for the way that this Italian attack works. And Melissa Bitoni, who loves scoring against Scotland, my goodness me, she's been a regular feature on the score sheet in recent years. Scored 2 at Broadwood last year and then 1 in Bologna the year before, so that's a regular feature for Di Giandomenico's team. Good kick too from Sillery as well. So the perfect start for the home fans. You see the tacklers just falling away from the charge of Franco. And the hooker up in good support. So, a slap in the face for the Scots. Got to recover now, plenty of time, of course, no issues on that count, just to get their game into gear, but as yet, they've yet to get their hands on the ball, bar the 2 starts. Baratine and Medea not quite on the same page now. Locatelli throws it out to Sillery, the former Harlequin. Working hard to keep the ball on their side. Medea getting the forwards involved. Rutzer again. And that elbow injury against Ireland that kept her out for 1 game, but back now and back with the force. That's a good kick from Rigoni. There's a fairly strong breeze behind the Italians. Sarah Cox going back for an earlier call though. Not enough advantage. Beatrice Rigoni making the 12 shirt her own. They thought it was going to be the 10 shirt, being groomed really to replace Schiavone, but played inside centre pretty much through the World Cup. That of course was Schiavone's last tournament, and now they seem to be happy to let her step out one place and allowing the likes of Veronica Medea or Jessica Passato to take that 10 shirt.
Just over there. There you go. 2-6.
Megan Kennedy there, wearing the 1 jersey, playing at loose head, having started at tight head in Dublin. But that flexibility, of course, within the women's game is quite normal, and Lindsay Smith, who came on at loose head and ended at tight head, is on the other side of the scrum this afternoon.
No, leave it.
It's all Italy so far. Rigoni again looking for that cross kick.
Back.
Rowley
Back.
weighing up the options before inviting Lauren Harris to have a burst, but no real opportunity for the left winger down that particular corridor. Giada Franco, who came on after 25 minutes against Ireland when Rutsa was injured with that elbow, and then made such an impact in that time that she's now a fixture in this Italian 15. Bertoni. Medea with lots of options. She opts for Franco. Rigoni switches it quickly to Furlan. And it goes to Sofia Stefan. Now the charge from the try scorer, Bertoni. Locatelli trying to dig that ball out. Hands in, don't allow it to clear. Well, the home fans enjoying this start from the ladies, well, in white this afternoon. Scotland have not had the opportunity to mount an attack worthy of the name by that brief counter-attack from Chloe Rowley.
You're down, you touch the floor.
The Italian forwards pouring over the ball. Giordana Duca in the second row leads the way.
Now release it, Blue.
Baratine with
Valentina
forwards left
offside.
and right. It's Rutsa who offers. Valentina Rutsa, of course,
offside.
scored that try in round 1 against England. Italy's solitary try, as it turned out. Italy pressing their case for a second score. Almost, but not quite. Baratine throws it wide. Rigoni throws it wide. Arcillary onto Furlan. And there it is in the corner for Magatti. Maria Magatti scored the try against Wales at the end of the first half last week. She's got on the scoreboard earlier this. And it's one-way traffic in the opening 10 minutes here in Padua. We saw from this Italian backline how they were happy to just move it across fairly simply in attack, and it paid dividends last week, and it's already paid dividends this. The Rugby Monza winger on the end of that very impressive move as Michaela Sillery looks to add another 2 from the tee. well, unable to finish things off, and it's going to be difficult for the kickers as well. As I say, conditions underfoot will not be sturdy for them. But look at the way that the Italians just worked that line. They knew their handling was good enough, the passing accurate enough to open the door out wide. And so it happened. Well, it wasn't her this time, it was her wingmate. But no doubt we will see Sofia Stefan at some point through the course of this game. Certainly the way that Italy have opened just shows the confidence that's now working their way through the team. Now, first chance for Scotland to get their attack primed, and we're in the 11th minute. Pick and drive led by Deborah McCormack. They're going to go back for a Scotland scrum put in.
Yeah.
Bertoni, who plays her rugby now in France at Stade Rennais, has been out there for the last 4 years now. Just 26 years of age, so plenty of rugby ahead of her, and she's really been making her mark on this Six Nations, no question about that.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Sarah Law feeds. Conkle struggles to control, but it's there in the back line for Helen Nelson.
Release. Let go.
Scored a try and a penalty last week in Dublin. Very important try at the beginning of that second half. Lisa Martin just looking to settle her team down now and give them the chance to show what they've gleaned from the matches so far in this Six Nations. Started so well, of course, that first half at Colwyn Bay. Led 13-0 at the break. Sorry, they came back from 13-0 to really push Wales really to the line. Unfortunately lost it 18-17, but really took that performance into the next game against France in the first half. Suffered against England, but then the big win, the first win I think in 12 years. First away win, certainly, in 12 years in Dublin. And that is why they believe that they can come here today and take another scalp. Martin knows that that pass was going to be cut off, so takes the contact. Law, Conkle, McCormack.
No.
Anybody seen the ball? Well, held up is the call from referee Cox. I think, in fact, that was Sarah Bonner who was leading the way. Bonner, formerly of Hartbury in England, now a secondary geography teacher, but really making an impact on the rugby park for her national team.
Crouch. Bone. Just movement.
Shade Munro up at the back here with the in the commentary gantry. High altitude up here. But you can see the patterns well, and you can see how Italy are going to try and get their attack going at every opportunity. Medea taking them up to the 10-metre line. Quick presentation, loading to the right. Pass looked a little bit forward there. Sarah Cox doing well to pick that one up with a little bit of help from her friend on this near side touch. Manuela Furlan, part of Harlequin's setup last season, along with Michaela Sillery and, of course, along with Deborah McCormack as well. The Scotland second row, all part of that double winning side. Indeed, Deborah McCormack will have be something of a talisman, I would think, having won the double with Richmond the season before. Friends reunited off the pitch, but certainly not on it this afternoon. Quarter of an hour gone, and Italy, those 2 scores to the good. Conkle meets Franco. That contest, that competition will be worth keeping an eye on, I think. Bonner. Oh, the ball comes loose to Hannah Smith. Hannah Smith bats off Barrettine, going for the line. Ball down, 5 metres short. Where's the support? There it is. It is led by McCormack. Great break from Hannah Smith. Can they capitalise on it now? Well, Hannah Smith, I talked about flexibility earlier on. She played at flanker at number 6 in the game against Wales, then was moved out to the wing. And it's Liz Musgrove who was trying to make the most of the supporting run. But have a look at this. Getting past Rigoni, getting outside Rutzer and Barrettine. And then just brought down by Furlan. Had a great break from Smith.
Crouch.
Winger or centre. She's got plenty of speed.
Set.
You might be able to hear the rain coming down on the roofs now. How will that impact the way they're playing? It certainly doesn't seem to be affecting the Italians. Scotland looking to make the most of this little bit of momentum switch that Smith has given them. Big opportunity here for the visitors before the end of the first quarter. Lindsay Smith on this near side, making her first start since the England game in the last Six Nations. Law feeds out to Nelson. Dragged down by Franco. Ball still there though for the Scots. Skeldon sets it back well for Law. The drive coming on from Conkle again. Quick presentation allows the flow to continue. Almost but not quite for the ladies in blue. Smith changing the line, trying to find that cutting angle. Bonner. Conkle again. Such a muscular presence in that back row. Rolly, such a try scorer in the back 3. Almost, but the call goes against the support. Holding on is the call from the referee, and the moment is gone for the visitors. Got through plenty of phases. Chloe Rolly, the last one there, feeding up to Harris. Rigoni, who, like many of the girls here, plays locally at Vaisugana Rugby, just down the road here in Padua. So plenty of local fans coming from the local clubs to support. Locatelli, the target in the line out. Furlan in as first receiver this time. Barrettine looking to get it out of their own half. Chloe Rolly with a good take. You see the footing just getting a little more uncertain. Rolly with a very good centre of balance, but she's going to have to watch this as all the players are. Barrettine giving the ball away, really. Scotland looking to go quickly. Not going to be allowed. The Stadio Plebiscito pitch now being doused fairly dramatically. Those in the stands just about managing to stay dry. Good work. Conkle at the front, getting the possession for the visitors. Now they've got to try and make some headway just inside the Italian half. Law, Martin, a little call inside from Smith. The two centres almost opening the door. Lisa Martin, head down and drive. Missed the England game, of course. So important to have the captain back and in that pivotal role. Oh, the handling just coming undone there with Helen Nelson, and Italy quick to pounce, and they've got numbers out to the left. Rigoni onto Sillery. Sillery is 2-on-1 in that channel. Did the ball go forward? The Scots think it did. I'm not sure the officials concur, because the try is there for Sophia Stefan. The Stade Rennais flyer gets the third try. The Scots immediately appealing for a forward pass from Sillery. I think Claire Hodnett is just going to have a look at this one. Ooh, that's a difficult angle to judge from, but...
Can you hear me? Very faintly, Claire. Can you just... Are you checking
Claire
something?
Hodnett, the experienced
Sarah,
official
I am
in
checking the last pass.
the truck, is
Okay, do you want me to come look?
conferring with Sarah Cox. It's this pass here.
Claire, do you want me to come up to you?
Yes, please, Sarah.
Time off.
Right, there is a relatively small screen here at this stadium, so the officials are going to have to be quite careful how they operate these
No, you're going to have to
TMO
get back
system.
again, Claire, please.
Sarah Cox is going to study the pictures now. This is the pass here from Sillery.
Okay, Claire, that's quite killing forward, okay? No try for me,
Yeah,
and
and
we'll
the
go
call
back to the scrum
is
over here.
made by the officials. The try is disallowed.
Can you just give me a mark, please, Claire?
Forward pass, the official jurisdiction, I should say, into the second quarter of this game, and that will be a relief for the Scots. Seems a long time ago now, doesn't it, that barren 7-year spell was in operation. Those memories are long gone now, when they couldn't buy a Six Nations win. This group of ladies has the belief and has shown the potential to really be able to produce, and they're certainly on the up, so to speak. Right now, under the cosh a bit here though from the Italian team. Jade Conkle plays her rugby now, of course, at Lille Metropole in the top 8, along with a couple of the others, Chloe Rolly included. Great opportunity for them to experience not only a different culture, but a different way of rugby being played. And of course, we've seen from the French team this season, it's a very impactful, attractive in the most part. The kick going straight in. Oh, that's definitely gone forward. I don't think there's too much worry on that call from Sophia Stefan.
Forward pass.
Manuela Ferlan from plays her rugby now at Viorba, along with the likes of Barrettine. A couple of the others work out of that club as well, having experienced the English culture last season. Concourt picks and gives out to Nelson. Again, the kick is just going to invite Italy to come back. Baratine skating past one tackler. Rigoni just challenging the balance now of the Scotland defenders. Bonner up to it there, but the ball still in Italian clutches. The charge down though for the Scots. Halfway, Lisa Martin sets it back. The weather now may be a limiter. It may well mean that the teams, particularly the Scots, are going to have to go through the numbers and do the hard yards rather than get early width on the ball. See how it affects the handling. Smith and Rolly combining to try and get into foreign territory. Not far, but still Scotland beginning to find a little bit of momentum. Martin out to Lindsay Smith. Nelson. Laura Martin swapping positions, but the handling beginning to get more and more difficult now. I think it was Emma Warsall there, the second row. Just struggling to hold on to the bar of soap. There she is. What an impact she's made, been an ever-present since she made her debut in the Six Nations opener 4 years ago, and really has started every match, certainly including this tournament, in the last 4 years. And you can see now the deluge that's ramping down on the players. The pitch, which started life as a beach, is going to end up as a bog, I think. These are the two tries that we've seen so far. Bertoni able to finish off that burst from Franco. And then the back line showing they were up for it as well.
That's why we had such a problem down.
Sillery and Furlan able to open the door for Maria Magatti.
You're always open. Sorted? Yep.
Can you check that try score?
Okay, ladies, time to win back on.
Stefan or Magatti? I thought it was Magatti.
The mark's here.
Correction, that was my mistake. Magatti, of course, although wearing 11, is actually playing on the right wing. That was Sophia Stefan who got that second score for the home side. The numbers on the Italian jerseys are, I suspect, going to disappear through the course of the next, well, certainly 14 minutes. Rigoni. There is Magatti off her wing. Furlan, little show and go, straightening things up. Defenders skating out of the way, and it's all the way to the try line. Giada Franco, the one to finish it off. She set up the first one. She's finished off the third. And that move just showing how difficult this pitch is going to be for defenders. So difficult to change balance. And the fullback opening up the Scottish line. There's the little show and go, straightening things up. The call, good handling from the blind side with the power and pace to finish things off. Well, jubilation in the Italian camp and in the stands too. Despite the weather, they're still playing the rugby and they're still scoring the points. 17 inside 27 minutes now. Michaela Sillery looking to add from the tee. Dijan Domenico prowling along this back corridor at the back of the stands. I'll look and see if he's smiling in a minute. Sillery hoofs it through. And it is now a 19-0 scoreline for the home side. Just see how the fullback took the ball at pace and then was able to adjust her line. And the Scots girls, so difficult for them to readjust. Baratine and Franco held inside their own half this time. So Rigoni has to get the kick away. Chloe Rowley, good anticipation from the fullback. But there you see, even somebody as well balanced as her, struggling now with these conditions. Law out to Lana Skeldon, the hooker, unable to make too much headway, but the ball able to be worked back again to Nelson. Martin trying to find some territory, but that is just going to hand the initiative back to Italy. Well, the Six Nations has been a tester for all teams in lots of different ways. It's going to be a big test now for the Scots lasses to see if they can get themselves on the board before the break first up and then push themselves back into the game afterwards.
What would you like? You can have a line out or you can have the scrum.
Well, as hard as it's going to be for the kickers, it's going to be tough for the hookers as well. Bertoni alongside Guy Giacomoli and Lucia Guy. Lucia Guy winning her 61st cap. Conkle has to go backwards before she can go forwards. Law feeds it back to the forwards once again, led by Rachel Malcolm. Captain, of course, against England, played at hooker against Wales. Nice line coming from Hannah Smith again. Again, it's Hannah Smith who makes the bust. Brought down shorter than 22 this time, but Scotland able to get themselves onto the front foot. Skeldon working them into the 22. Now, can the visitors maximise this trip into opposition territory? Walsall. Front rowers waiting. Megan Kennedy and Lana Skeldon trying to buddy up there behind the ball. Conkle not leading any help, but the ball now into that back line. Nelson skidding to a halt. Counter-rucking, making life difficult for Scotland now. There's the hooker again. Just a half metre or so every time. Lindsay Smith. Working into striking position now. Got to look after the ball. Easier said than done, maybe. Malcolm. There's the post. There's the glory line. Martin throwing a huge rainbow pass. There's a pot of gold on the end of it, or is there? No! Lauren Harris just cannot hold on. Oh my word, almost but not quite. The little shake of the head from the left winger, always a difficult operation. She managed to cut back on the angle, but the tackle coming in, I think it was Locatelli who was coming across. Well, how Scotland could have done with that 5-pointer. Harris making her first start since 2013. She's been on the bench 9 times, looking to make an impact from the number 11 jersey this afternoon. Unable to finish it off there. 7 minutes to go until half-time. Rigoni slams it away. I do hope the kit managers remembered to bring the spare shirts. There's that line. She found a good line, the Scotland left winger, but the contact coming in was just too much. Those Italian shirts are impossible to read, aren't they? So maybe another opportunity for the visitors before the break. This is all about muscling up, about keeping the concentration. Conkle leading the way once again. Locatelli with the counter up, but the ball is still there. Kennedy feeds it out to Rachel Malcolm. Law trying to keep things moving. Conkle finds a bit more width on that. They find drier ground out to the right flank. Rolly, though, wrapped up by her opposite number.
No.
The Italian defence just moving the Scots away from the red zone. Well, the mud zone as it probably is this afternoon. But Scotland working their way back in. Trying to keep that continuity in, frankly, ridiculous situation now. Just look at the weather. They thought they'd escaped the beast from the east, but now they've got the Padua monsoon.
So before, right, hang on, 2 seconds. Time is off anyway, we've got to play it down. Yep.
Italy, of course, with a wooden spoonist last season, 0 from 5 for the Azzurri. You look back at their history, they've been, what, 5th, 6th in the first 7 seasons after they came into this competition in 2007.
Yeah, okay, cool.
That was a bit of an awkward season, to say the least. Only one losing point, bonus point for them in that game in Scotland. So if they could get victory this afternoon, a 4th place finish would be a real success story for them. You have to remember what these girls are playing on right now. It's not a beach, it's a quagmire. And the quality of the rugby is very, very good, considering that. Both teams desperate to keep their attacks in motion when they have the ball. It may be a territorial game in the second half to try and play away from the mud, but that's easier said than done. I've got a feeling any minute we may see Shrek appearing at some point. As it is, the Scots are going to try and work their way back into attacking position in the last 5 minutes of this first half. My goodness me, how they could do with a score. Worked so hard in the last 10 minutes or so. Conkle, as ever, the fulcrum for their attacks. Law keeping things moving. Martin. Difficult for Liz Musgrove, I think it was, out on that right flank. And eventually holding on to the ball for too long. Lisa Martin coming in to support her winger, but 5.5, 5.6 maybe for that move. There you see, studs just aren't long enough. I don't think crampons will be long enough out here. Take a good wader by now. Ragone will know all about local conditions, as will most of those guys there. The forecast was that we weren't going to see the wet, but hey, who can trust a weather forecast? Bertoni, score of that first try. Slacked back for Medea. Franco cannot hold though. Now this will be interesting for Sarah Cox. Scrum put in, yes, but 16 players trying to hold their balance and hold their feet. But you can see still the ambition that both teams are trying to play with, and that's what they've built their season upon, really. So credit to both sides. Rachel Malcolm, the Loughborough Lightning flanker on this near side. Conklin Law contriving to get the ball away. Chloe Rowley getting involved. Good hands from Martin, but just a little too quick for Musgrove. Well, the last 90 seconds of this first half, and certainly the first 20, were dominated by the home side. Scotland have worked their way back into the game territorially and from a possession stat as well. But ultimately, that 0 on the scoreboard will be very dispiriting for them. Good work from Walsall there. Pick and drive, the call. Last minute of the first half, and Scotland have got a long way to go to try and get a score on the board before the break. 65 metres from there. But they're keeping playing. Chloe Rowley skates back inside. Front rowers combining once again, Skeldon and Kennedy. Unable to make any headway, so it comes back to Sarah Bonner. Conkle. Oh, Martin unable to hold that pass. It's gone back though, so Scotland can play on. The clock moves into the red as Megan Kennedy dips ahead and tries to drive through another tackle. Sarah Law says, let's get off this pitch. I've had enough. Time for a cup of tea and more for the Scots. Italy will have enjoyed that first 40. 2 tries inside the first 10 minutes from Bertoni and Stefan, augmented by a try from Franco before the half-hour mark. It's the home side that are in charge, but on shaky conditions, to say the least. It's going to be a very interesting second 40. Half-time. It's Italy leading 19 points to 0. Bloody hell, what are we going to get in the second half? Is there going to be a case where they can call it off? Welcome back to the Stadio Plebiscito here in Padua. It has been a wet one, to say the least. It has been a good one, though, from an Italian perspective. 3 tries they've scored in, frankly, ridiculous circumstances. Now, when you look at the weather that they're playing in, the conditions that they're playing in, Jade Conkle and co are really going to have to wind things up when they can't be quite sure of their footing. Sarah Cox will have quite a difficult job, I think, in this final 40. Italy pressing for back-to-back wins in order to ensure a 4th place in the final table. Scotland are going to have to turn things around, have to change their mindset, really, in this second half. So Italy playing towards the shallow end. Sarah Bonner is just case in point of how difficult footing is for these players now. And it's not like there's a particularly good area that they can aim for to play in. It really is covering the pitch, as you can see. It is a quagmire. Duca leading the way forward for the Italian forwards. Early call from Sarah Cox. Doesn't look like there was a clean set of shirts available for either side, so they're just going to have to get on with it. Certainly the Italian numbers, difficult as it was to see in the first half, are going to disappear. One change for the Scots at half-time. Lauren Harris has been replaced by Rona Lloyd, wearing 23. Look out for the clean shirt. It'll be fairly obvious where she is. Malcolm. Ball goes loose, and Italy looking to get into a strong position as Sillery slides it through. And Lisa Martin slides to a halt, but does well to make sure she doesn't lose the ball. Lindsay Smith playing at tight head today, came on at loose head last week and then moved across to the tight head role. The Hill head, Jordan Hill, prop. Franco, quick offload, and this is going to be the bonus point. Beatrice Rigoni slides over for their 4th try early in this second half, and jubilation in the stands. Such good awareness from the Azzurri. Saw the opportunity, and Rigoni, who scored at the Principality last week, scores at the Plebiscito this. Michaela Sillery, who scored the bonus point try last week, looking to convert the 4th try this. Easier said than done. Just hoping her standing foot will hold firm. Does very well. It may be not the most fluent of kicking styles, but it certainly works. And it works very well for the home side. Baratine, so experienced, of course, well aware. You could see her looking up and seeing the opportunity. Franco took it on. And then Rigoni able to finish things off once she'd been fed by Sophia Stefan. Ruzzo struggling to stay upright, but doing very well to lay the ball back. Charge down coming momentarily. I think Emma Warsaw thought she was in with an opportunity there, but referee Cox spotting an offside.
Behind the back foot.
Rigoni doesn't find touch, and it's Chloe Rowley who tries to slam it back, but straight into Baratine. Rigoni offers her services.
No, stop, stop.
Sarah Law feeds on to half-back partner, Lisa Martin. Eager to get width on it and try and explore this near side, but almost putting Helen Nelson into problems in any case. I think it would floated forward. Yeah, the assistant referee on the far side making that call for Sarah Cox. Here's Emma Warsaw.
You making a sub? You okay?
Plays her rugby out of Murrayfield Wanderers. Back in Edinburgh, along with Helen Nelson, of course. Lisa Martin also part of that group, although I think she's now moved to Darlington Moden Park Sharks in the Tyrrell's Premier 15s. Baratine. Medea gets the offload to Rigoni. Good tackling from Liz Musgrove, but Italy on the attack. Just unable to capitalise there. Yeah, she can't believe what she's been asked to play rugby on. It's like playing on an allotment after a deluge has hit.
Oh, Daddy, yes, of course. Crouch. Bind. Set.
Conkle doing well to just set the focus for the rest of the forwards. Megan Kennedy taking it on again. Law and Martin trying to contrive the exit. It's a good kick from Martin, but it'll come back. Sophia Stefan. Sillery desperately struggling to keep the ball their side. Rigoni does well. And there's good transference. Manuela Furlan with the undershirt on now, wisely.
Drop. Get up.
Rigoni seems to be involved in every attack right now. Rutza straightens things up for the Azzurri. Franco showing good balance, good awareness. Just 21 years of age, she really does seem to be, well, something that could be the full package. Always hesitate to put too much pressure on a youngster just breaking through, but what she's shown so far in this Six Nations, there's a lot of potential there.
Claire, can you say that again? I got neck roll, but that was it.
Claire Hodnett just brings Sarah Cox's attention to a potential head roll.
Right, penalty is to you. You've neck rolled in the ruck.
There, I think it was Sillery. Yeah, it was. Sillery on Chloe Rowley.
13.
Kick doesn't find touch, and Furlan will come back with some force if she possibly can. Good tackle. I think that was Megan Kennedy getting in there. Sillery.
Last Scotland!
Lana Skeldon. Holding Italy inside their own half an hour and forcing the error. Now, can Scotland capitalise here? It's a long way to go, and the pass is partially intercepted. Illegally so, says Sarah Cox. Lisa Martin just needs to make sure that she finds the sanctity of touch and gives the forwards a position to work from. That's a better kick from the Scotland fly half.
Time off. Yes, time off. It's time off. Time off a sec, all right?
So change in that front row. Lindsay Smith being replaced by Siobhan McMillan. McMillan, who made her debut, there she is against Wales in Colwyn Bay in that first match. Studying molecular and cellular biology. I'm not sure what she's going to discover under this pitch, but there may be quite a few amphibians and all sorts appearing at some point through the course of this game. There's the first try. Franco feeding Bertoni for the first score. And then the backs moving it out to Stefan for the second. And then it was the big, boisterous back rower who was on hand to finish off Furlan's break. There she is. And then that fourth try has already been run in the second half by Rigoni for the bonus point. Now, Scotland trying to wind things up around the Italian 22. Skeldon winning her 26th cap this afternoon. This will be a memorable one for whatever happens in the next half an hour. Martin finds herself walking into an Italian cul-de-sac. Told to release, and the ball is there for Scotland once again. Law out to Rachel Malcolm. The forward still offering to do those hard yards. This time it's Siobhan McMillan getting down and dirty for the first time in this game. Hannah Smith, who made a couple of great breaks in the first half that the visitors were unable to make the most of. Conkle trying to find that line and making some headway. Good charge from the number 8. One of the professional players, of course, in this Scotland camp.
It's not coming out.
Sarah Cox making a good early call before there was some problems being submerged at the bottom of that particular ruck. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for the photographers around the ground to have another Fran Cotton type picture before the end of this game. Been such a big season, of course, for the Italians. Got back into the Rugby World Cup in Ireland last summer, the first time in 15 years. Have finished 9th in that tournament thanks to Sarah Baratine's try. They've watched it 9 minutes into extra time against Spain in Belfast. That was so important, and now they're trying to press on through the Six Nations. They're going to avoid that wooden spoon. That would seem to be a must for Sarah Baratine and co, but continuing to try and play in the swamp, in the bog. And credit to Sarah Cox as well. This is invidious circumstances for the officials to try and find sensible calls, should we say, let alone legal ones. Chloe Rowley scored a couple of tries against Italy last year at Broadwood and has already scored 5 this season. Looking to see the Scotland backline working its way out to the right. Here comes the ball, and that's a horrible pick up for Lisa Martin. I think it's been officiated has gone backwards, so Scotland can continue. But it's the forwards, led by McCormack, who are going to have to reset and reboot this attack. And Medea getting around the neck. I think that was probably lost in translation, but Sarah Cox quick to pick things up.
I get you. Okay, just
Baratine,
put your arms at me, all right?
qualified quantity surveyor in real life. I'm not sure what she makes of this.
Just on you, okay?
So experienced, of course. 82 caps worth of experience now is invaluable to Italy and to the coach Andrea Giandomenico. Lana Skeldon with the line out. Watsonian's hooker can't find her target though, and it's Locatelli who picks up the scraps. Franco.
No, wait.
The charge down. The ball skidding through. Anybody able to pick it up? And there's a knock forward.
There's one knock on here and then the second one a bit
Quick
further
work by the referee. Scotland thought they had an opportunity there. Conkle it was, quick to react. The charge down coming from Warsaw, but it was the number 8 who thought she was going to be able to get through there.
Crouch.
25 minutes left for Scotland to find a way over that white line. Italy in total control of this game now, although with such instability underfoot, you can never be sure how this game could finish off. Nelson doing well to release Smith. Scotland trying to build up some pressure now on the Italians inside their own 22. That was a high shot there. I think Bertoni on her opposite number. Referee playing advantage. Nelson throws it over the top to Lloyd. Lloyd runs out of room, but Scotland will get that call.
Offside.
It was an offside call. I think there was a high shot there as well, but either way, it's a penalty to Scotland. And either way, they want to just wind things up now. Megan Kennedy. The drive is on.
No, shot.
Head is over the line. I don't think the ball's quite followed it yet. Big opportunity here.
Stay.
Who's going to take the next dibs? Cox getting in position, and Scotland break the bagel thanks to Lana Skeldon. The Watsonians hook up, finding the way through.
Just do it. I don't need to know. I don't need to know.
Well, it's taken a long time to get on the board.
Please put them on.
A lot of huff and puff. They've really had to work so hard. And in the end, it's the hooker who's done it. And would you believe, her 26th cap, that's her first try. She's kicked points off the tee before, but she's never got over the whitewash. So a special moment for Lana Skeldon. Problems there. I think Sarah Law, as she kicked that ball, really pulled up. Replacements coming on now for the Scots. Spot the clean shirts. You won't need me to tell who it is.
Time off. Second.
So Sarah Law's day is done.
Okay.
As Jenny Maxwell, wearing 21, replaces her at scrum half. And I think it's Ailey Sinclair in the 22 shirts come on for Helen Nelson in the midfield. Yes, indeed.
No, there's no knock on. It's always gone backwards. So it's a line out.
Well, doesn't matter how much Beatrice Rigoni implores the referee for the potential knock-on. It was there from Conkle, but you can see there it's gone backwards. So the Mud Monsters continue to play rugby here.
Knock on just at the front of the line.
Coming up to the hour mark. Scotland with their first score on the board, but Sarah Barrettine and her teammates still very much in charge of this final fixture in the 2018 Six Nations. Scotland it was who finished fourth last season, won 2 out of 5, beat Wales in a very close encounter, 15-14, and then that Italy win at Broadwood. Of course, the season before that was the wooden spoon. So they're looking to show the progress that they've made. Both teams have really been able to build, have had added resources to utilise, and it shows in the preparation and the way that they're playing their rugby now. Shade Munro has done a wonderful job in really fashioning this team to play some very impressive rugby when allowed. And of course the footing here is a big limiter. Barrettine intercepted by Martin. Hasn't got enough to go herself as they hit the quicksand of the 22. Ferland says, let's just reset and give people a chance to get back in defensive line. Good interception from the Scotland captain, good awareness. And now another opportunity maybe for the visitors to put pressure and maybe points on the board. An hour gone, 26-5, the Italians in the lead.
Jade, there you go.
Oh, the handling understandably awkward for Emma Warsall there. And Franco able to lead her forwards away from that try line. Bertoni.
Knock on the ball, this is over. Wait.
There's Musgrove struggling to locate the ball, but in the end feeding Jenny Maxwell. Maxwell out to Rolly. Smith. Little offload to Lloyd. Kennedy. Head down and drive again from the loose head. She's had a good game, Megan Kennedy. Conkle sets it back again. Now they try and get some width on it. Good handling, quick handling from Ailey Sinclair. Not quite sure how she managed that, almost a sleight of hand. Maxwell has the ball delivered. Jade Conkle with the drive. Skeldon unable to find a way through on that occasion. Maxwell trying to bring a few defenders in with a quick dart of her own. 3 metres away now from a second try. Conkle.
Short. Leave it.
Just short is the call from the referee. They go again with Warsaw. Italian defenders grouping around the ball carrier, doing well to rebuff this Scottish surge, but the ball is still there, I think, for the visitors. Yet again, they get in position to strike.
No, drop.
Conkle spots an opportunity, but is turned away. Skeldon going for glory again, not quite there. Maxwell and Martin pushes out wide. Sinclair, and Sinclair has got there. Ailey Sinclair with her second try for Scotland, her second try, their second try today. And the Saltire is out in the stands. And maybe, just maybe, there is something else left in this game.
Thank you.
Ailey Sinclair surfs in for try number 2 for the visitors. Another change coming on, I think, into the back row this time, bringing Louise McMillan on. Just confirm that for you in a minute, as Lana Skeldon is going to line up this kick. Skeldon reminding you, some of us of Scotland forwards of old that used to kick. Peter Brown going back in the day. And Skeldon gets another 2 points. And suddenly there is hope and belief within the Scotland camp. So changes in that forward pack. Jodie Retty on wearing 16 is on for Sarah Bonner. And Louise McMillan, I mentioned, is on for Rachel Malcolm, presumably in the back row. Difficult take for Siobhan McMillan. Both McMillan sisters now on the park. A quarter of an hour left on the match clock. But now the scoreboard has a slightly different feel to it, with only 14 points between the two. Looks like Emma Warsall is just having some attention there. Plenty of supporting fans, travelling fans that have come to the area. If your geography is not what it once was, perhaps. We're in the northeast of Italy, right at the top of the boot, as it were. Where it is wet season. Warsall able to continue. Shade Munro behind his monitor, working out whether his team can actually work their way back into contention in this game. Barrettine almost getting the offload. The ricochet, thankfully for Scotland, doesn't stick. Well, it may not be as cold as it is back home in Scotland for these girls, but it is filthy weather nonetheless.
Yeah, no worries. All right.
I guess the Scots would be calling this a peat bog. It really has turned into a ploughed field to play rugby on. And all credit to all the players for maintaining the flow wherever they can, almost in adversity. Has been ridiculous conditions. A dire mire for rugby to be played on.
who's going to crack on? Perfect. Thank you. Crouch. Bind. Set.
Good shove from the Italian pack. Scotland forwards desperately trying to recover it. I think that was Jodie Retty who actually picked it up. Plays her rugby in Essex for Thurrock Rugby Club. Doing very well to come off the bench and be able to react like that, showing the good strength that is required. Lana Skeldon. And the boot away from the captain allows her team just to draw breath now. 14 minutes left, 14 points the difference. There's just a thought in Scottish minds now that this could still be on. Well, Barrettine is known for her rock climbing in her hobbies. I'm not sure that swamp dwelling is part of it, though.
What's the problem? We're inside the 5.
So Lana Skeldon with this line out. Beautifully worked and taken by Deborah McCormack. Maxwell out to Hannah Smith again. The veterinary surgeon showing her flexibility. Playing at centre, flanker or winger. She has made an impact in this Six Nations, showing great talent. Furlan trying to reset the sat-nav. Easier said than done in these conditions. Franco again, another strong, powerful performance from the young back rower. Scotland showing good line speed to get up there again. It was Jodie Retty leading the way. Medea trying to push off Lana Skeldon, but she stuck to her like a limpet there. Well, the Scotland tackles now beginning to have more and more impact on the Italian attack. Bertoni straightens things up. Played at tight head, I seem to remember, in the Rugby World Cup. At least one or maybe 2 games, but has been the starting standalone hooker pretty much for Italy in this Six Nations. Oh, almost a hint of an opportunity there. We've already seen Lisa Martin intercept once. She was poaching again there. Oh, nearly but not quite. Scotland are going to get the put in anyway to the resulting scrum. But the captain, again, providing a little flare of inspiration for her team. Just a spark, maybe an opportunity to turn this match as we move into the last 10 minutes. This is the tries that we've seen since the break. Beatrice Rigoni finishing things off early on, 3 minutes into the second half. That secured the bonus point. But then Scotland, to their credit, working so hard. Skeldon's try followed up by this surfing effort by Sinclair.
Time's going back on, okay. You ready? There's your mark. Time on. Let's go, girls.
10 minutes left on the clock, 14 points the difference.
Bind. Set.
Scotland not swimming against the tide, but just finding it very difficult to manoeuvre this match into the right area. Lisa Martin trying to find a move up the pitch from the boot, but that's easier said than done.
Just on there, okay.
Well, Bertoni trying to dry her hands or clean her hands. There is today's player of the match, Beatrice Rigoni. Had such an impact with the boot and with her open play, and then of course scoring that bonus point try at the beginning of this half. She is the 2018 Women's Six Nations Player of the Match, the last one to be awarded.
Wait.
Excuse me, as Giordana Duca just tries to get some momentum for the Italians, just trying to do bit by bit. Haven't used many of their substitutes, Italy, at all. In fact, I'm looking down the list and I don't think anybody has come off the bench. I don't know whether that was a vote from those on the bench that they just didn't fancy it, but it's a testament to the 15 that have started. That it looks like they're going to be the 15 that finish. Huge plaudits to, well, both sets of forward packs. Bertoni leading the Italians as ever. It now resembles more mud wrestling than mud rugby. Player down, the referee is going to have to stop things. I think it's Bertoni, yes it is. There's the hooker just struggling there, and just as I say, the forwards are going to last the Fileti. We are going to see an Italian substitute. Looks like Ilaria Arighetti is just going to come on the park, spot the substitute, replacing Giordana Duca. Big smile on the second row's place there. The Frascati lock has had a really impressive game in really absurd conditions. And there's going to be another change as well, because that is Eleonora Ricci replacing Gaia Giacomoli at loose head. Ricci, who's had that calf problem, so kind of surprises me that she's actually going to come on, but maybe it's stood up to training. Missed a couple of games, scored the try against Ireland, of course, last week, so presumably fully fit. Well, this will be a test for that calf, if ever there was one. I tell you what, those showers cannot be hot enough or wet enough for these girls when they get off. What a 72 minutes we've seen. So Arighetti packs down on this near side as Baratine looks to open things up for Sofia Stefan. Italy now looking to keep possession, to wind that clock down, not give Scotland the sniff of an opportunity of getting up the other end. And in these conditions, possession and territory is absolutely vital. Good handling from the Italians. Getting into the Scottish 22 once again. Well, having bemoaned the Italian numbering, perversely, now it's got mud on it, they're actually easier to read, would you believe? Italy playing in brown in this second half. Baratine really enjoying the hard labour of those in front of her through the course of this game. Next up is, I think, a fly half. I think that was Medea going through. Keeping it short for the moment. Pick and drive. Giada Franco being held up by Retti.
Tackle, release! Let go, Scotland! Good.
Working their way into a position to strike from, though, whether they can hold their footing. Ritchie with a big, powerful handoff, but losing the ball in the process.
Yeah. Thank you, Claire, got you. Yep. 1 and 8.
I think Louise McMillan felt the full force of that as more replacements come off the Scottish bench. Jade Conkle and Megan Kennedy being replaced.
Okay. Time on.
Siobhan Cadogan will come on presumably into the back row to replace the number 8. And Katie Dugan into the front row. Dugan just 23 years of age, moving into double figures now with caps. So important experience, albeit only for 5 minutes.
5, 6. Wait. No.
No way out of that quagmire for Louise McMillan. So Maxwell will have to, well, the forwards coming around and inviting, offering to do hard yards again, led by Lana Skeldon. What a player she is. The ball goes loose to Italy. Sillery unable to get through that contact, and Sarah Cox calling play back. Good pressure coming out. I think that was Lisa Martin getting out of her blocks pretty smartish there when she realised what was happening.
Okay, girls, time's going back on. All right, time's going back on.
4 minutes left. Andrea Di Giandomenico just checking on the last calls that he's going to have to make. Jenny Maxwell started this Six Nations for Scotland at scrum half, and looks like she's going to finish the Six Nations in the same position. Chloe Rowley finding no way through the mud there.
No, leave it, you've lost.
Credit to the Scotland forwards, still working as hard at the end of this match, albeit with a few replacements, of course, but have just kept themselves going, kept the engines running. And credit to Sarah Cox too. I mentioned earlier, this is invidious circumstances for the officials, but she's kept the game going as much as she could. And credit to all the players involved. think the rain is just about abated now, but it's done its damage on the surface, and Shade Munro, as disappointed as he'll be with defeat, will once again appreciate the efforts of his team, the ambitions of his team, the game that they've tried to play. Inside that, I think, is Chloe Rowley. Getting a little bit cold now. Just wishing these last 2 minutes away.
Just come over a little bit.
Really has been an inspiration to the Scottish outfit.
Okay. Both sides, keep it strong.
Well, the Scotland men have got Stuart Hogg, the Scotland women have got Chloe Rowley. Hasn't really been able to show what she's about today. You can just see everybody now just getting a little bit cold, understandably so. Barrettine runs into her opposite captain. Ball still there for Italy, Giada Franco. What an impact she's made on the game and on the tournament. Italy on the borders of the Scotland 22. Italian player down in back play, but Italy's still working it. I'm not quite sure who that is. I think it's Giada Franco. I know that's Sarah Barrettine. Well, the mud wrestling continues. They might need a tractor and ropes to get those props out of the quagmire. But credit to them, they are continuing to put the effort in to find the added oomph that's needed in these horrendous conditions.
Leave it, Scotland!
Last seconds of the Six Nations, last seconds of the Italian and Scottish campaigns in this Women's Six Nations. It has been a fascinating tournament with plenty to talk about, plenty to contemplate. France, Grand Slam winners, of course, but Italy and Scotland have shown they are on the move, they're on the up. Italy victorious to finish things off. A game that never got stuck in the mud. Credit to both sides. Italy get back-to-back wins, back-to-back maximum haul wins to finish things off. The final score, Italy 26, Scotland 12, and Italy will take that fourth spot in the table. Let's take a look at how things have finished then. It's Wales who eventually take the wooden spoon. France, the Grand Slam, in between. Plenty of talking points, plenty of plus points for all those teams to contemplate. Italy, though, with those two back-to-back wins, means that they will take fourth spot and advance for all of them. Thank you for your company this afternoon. It's been quality in the quagmire, unbelievably, but it's Italy that have been victorious. Good afternoon to you.